Welcome the anointed ones. Some people don't watch you. They monitor you like a full-time job they're not even getting paid for. Isn't it wild? A study once revealed that people become more fixated on individuals who carry a mix of intelligence, confidence, and physical appeal, not because they admire them, but because they can't figure out why that person stands out so effortlessly. And that, right there, is where your story begins. Chosen one, your life has become a quiet spectacle. Not because you're trying to be mysterious or dramatic, even though you do that naturally without rehearsal, but because everything about you forces people to lean in a little closer. Your intelligence doesn't shout. It just sits in the room and rearranges the energy. Your beauty isn't loud. It's the kind that makes people blink twice like their eyes are buffering. And your drive, let's just say it has people exhausted on your behalf while you're just getting warmed up. There's something about you that refuses to fit into the comfortable molds people created for you. You don't shrink, you don't apologize for existing, and you don't bend your brilliance just to make others feel taller. And because of that, your presence becomes a puzzle, a curious, magnetic, sometimes intimidating equation people can't solve. It's funny, isn't it? You're living your life, drinking your water, minding your business. Meanwhile, some people have turned you into their personal Netflix series, analyzing every update like there's going to be a plot twist. They don't understand how you carry intelligence with ease, beauty without arrogance, and ambition without chaos. So instead of clapping for you, they study you like you're a mystery they desperately need to unravel. But that's what happens when someone's very existence challenges assumptions, exposes insecurities, and awakens dormant potential in others. You become unforgettable, unignorable, and yes, a little obsession-worthy. And as we dive deeper into this topic, one thing is clear. You're not just admired. You're not just noticed. You are felt in ways that shake people more than they'll ever admit. Number one, people aren't obsessed with you. They're obsessed with the version of themselves they wish existed in your discipline. There's a certain kind of discomfort people feel when they meet someone who actually lives up to the potential they keep postponing. And that, chosen one, is where their obsession with you really begins. It's not just your intelligence or your beauty or your drive. It's the fact that you operate at a level they told themselves they would reach one day, yet somehow never did. You show them what consistency looks like. You show them what showing up for yourself looks like. You show them what results look like when excuses aren't louder than effort. You don't try to inspire anyone, but your life unintentionally becomes a measuring stick. And for many people, that's uncomfortable. They look at you and see the discipline they avoided, the courage they never embraced, the sacrifices they talked themselves out of. So instead of applauding you, they lock onto you. They analyze you. They overthink your steps. They watch your progress like a movie where they're both the critic and the jealous extra in the background. It's not that they dislike you. In fact, it's more twisted than that. They admire you, they envy you, and they resent themselves, all at the same time. You become the living proof that their excuses were choices. And nothing haunts a person more than seeing someone with the same 24 hours do what they convinced themselves was impossible. Your discipline exposes the corners they cut. Your consistency exposes their shortcuts. Your growth exposes their stagnation. And even though they'll never admit it, you becoming better makes them feel like they're running out of time to become who they said they'd be. So they obsess, they watch closely. They study your moves like your life holds the secret formula they misplaced. But the truth is simple. They're not obsessed with you. They're obsessed with the reflection of their unrealized potential that shows up every time you walk into the room. Number two, your beauty isn't threatening, it's disorienting. Your beauty doesn't scream for attention, and that's exactly what makes it so powerful. It doesn't fit into the usual patterns people expect, so instead of understanding it, they're left trying to decode it. There's a calm precision in the way you exist, a balance between effortless confidence and undeniable presence that throws people off. They can't categorize you, and when people can't categorize someone, their brains start working overtime. That confusion, that quiet disorientation, is what makes them fixated on you. It's not about looks alone, it's about how your presence interacts with the space around you. There's an energy in the way you carry yourself, a rhythm in the way you move, that's not loud but impossible to ignore. People pick up on it subconsciously. They notice the details they can't explain, the way your laughter isn't performative, the way your eyes seem to register more than most people see, the way your style and personality merge into something unique. That's what makes them pause, replay moments, analyze gestures, and even compare themselves. Your beauty challenges the ordinary perception of attractiveness because it's more than skin deep. It's in your aura, your composure, and the quiet way you command attention without needing it. And here's the ironic truth. The people most obsessed with your beauty aren't the ones who genuinely appreciate it. They're the ones trying to make sense of it because it unsettles them. They can't reconcile someone being naturally magnetic without performing or seeking validation. Your confidence, your self-possession, your refusal to perform for admiration, all of it makes your beauty feel like an unsolvable puzzle. That's what draws them in and keeps them watching. In the end, your beauty doesn't intimidate because it's overpowering. It disorients because it doesn't conform. It's a mirror reflecting their own insecurities and unmet standards, and while they can't stop studying it, they'll never be able to replicate it. You exist in a space they can't map, and that's why they can't stop thinking about you. Number 3. Your intelligence rewires rooms before you even speak. Intelligence isn't always about how much you know. It's about how your presence reshapes the energy around you. When you walk into a room, it doesn't just shift people's attention. It rearranges how they think, how they act, and how they see themselves. People feel it even before you say a word. There's a subtle authority in the way you observe, in the way you respond, in the quiet confidence that says you notice everything without needing to announce it. That kind of intelligence isn't taught or borrowed. It's earned, refined, and lived. It makes people uncomfortable because it exposes their gaps without confrontation. They can't hide shallow thinking or sloppy reasoning when you're around, and they know it. They try to act smarter, funnier, sharper, but there's a difference between mimicking intelligence and embodying it. You embody it naturally, and that authenticity makes everything else in the room feel artificial. Their facades crumble quietly, and all the posturing, the pretending, the small talk suddenly feels thin compared to your presence. What's fascinating is that people often mistake this for arrogance, when in reality, it's clarity. You don't need to prove anything, yet everything you do proves more than they can articulate. You ask questions that reveal truths without judgment. You offer insights that illuminate without ego. You move through discussions with a precision that forces everyone else to step up, to think harder, to measure their words. And that's magnetic, but also slightly terrifying for those unprepared to meet your level. Your intelligence doesn't compete. It doesn't boast. It doesn't even announce itself. It quietly rearranges rooms, conversations, and expectations. People leave feeling exposed, enlightened or inspired, sometimes all three at once. They notice that being around you changes the way they think, and even if they can't admit it, they start coming back, drawn to the way your mind challenges theirs, how your presence elevates the standard of interaction, and how being near you forces them to question the version of themselves they've settled for. That is the power of your intelligence. It transforms spaces before you even speak. Number 4. You don't chase validation. you create standards. Most people spend their lives measuring themselves against what others think, constantly chasing approval, likes, or recognition. They build their self-worth around fleeting opinions, and the moment it's withheld, they crumble. You don't operate like that. You don't ask for applause, you don't fish for compliments, and you certainly don't bend yourself to fit someone else's idea of greatness. Instead, you set the bar. You define what excellence looks like in your life, your work, your presence, and your energy. You operate on your own terms, and in doing so, you become the benchmark others unconsciously compare themselves to. That independence, that refusal to bow to external judgment, is disarming to insecure people. They're so used to being the measure that someone who doesn't need them, someone who doesn't look for permission or validation, becomes confusing, even unsettling. They can't predict you, control you, or categorize you because you've built a life where your worth isn't negotiable. You don't just achieve, you set the standard that others can aspire to but rarely reach without understanding the depth of self-mastery required. And here's the brilliance of it. By creating your own standards, you attract people who elevate themselves naturally and filter out those who rely on external validation to feel important. You become unforgettable not because you demand attention, but because your consistency, integrity, and self-assurance force others to recalibrate what they thought was possible. People notice when someone exists outside the ordinary rules of neediness and insecurity. You don't just stand out, you redefine what standing out even means. In essence, your refusal to seek approval isn't arrogance, it's authority. You show the world that your life, your energy, and your achievements are measured by your own standards, not by fleeting opinions. And that is the ultimate form of power, becoming unforgettable on your own terms. Number 5. Your presence forces people to confront the shortcuts they took. When you show up fully committed to yourself, fully disciplined in your work, fully aligned with your values, it has an unintended effect on others. It makes them face the compromises they've made in their own lives. You don't call them out, you don't criticize, and you certainly don't parade your achievements to make them feel small. But simply by existing at a level of effort, precision, and self-respect, you hold up a mirror to their choices. The shortcuts, the laziness, the half-hearted attempts. They become impossible to ignore when contrasted with your consistency and integrity. People can sense it, even if they won't admit it. They see someone living intentionally, someone treating every action like it matters, and they remember the times they settled for less, cut corners, or convinced themselves mediocrity was acceptable. That quiet, unavoidable reflection is uncomfortable because it doesn't allow excuses. You don't give them a reason to look away. And that's what makes your presence so magnetic and simultaneously unsettling. Your effort isn't performative, it's natural. Your precision isn't perfection for show, it's simply the way you approach life. Your self-respect isn't defensive, it's a standard you refuse to compromise. And that combination makes people measure themselves against you subconsciously. They can't replicate it easily, and that frustration grows into a subtle obsession. It's not admiration alone. They're aware of the gap between what they could have done and what you've done, and that awareness can eat at them quietly, leaving them fixated. You don't need to say anything for this effect to occur. Just by living at a higher frequency of effort, discipline, and respect for yourself, you expose the cracks in the lives of others, and in that exposure lies your quiet power. You show people what's possible without demanding their approval, and that alone makes you unforgettable. Number 6. You trigger fascination because you're not powered by ego, you're powered by inner architecture. There's a different kind of presence that comes from someone who has built themselves from the inside out. It's not loud, It's not showy, and it's not rooted in trying to impress anyone. It's grounded, solid, quietly unshakable. That's the kind of energy you carry, and people feel it long before they ever understand it. What intrigues them is that you don't move like someone seeking attention. You move like someone who knows exactly who they are, exactly what they bring, and exactly what they refuse to compromise. Your foundation is internal, not borrowed from trends, approval, or performance. Most people decorate themselves. They polish the surface, dress up their insecurities, and call it confidence. But when the noise fades, there's nothing holding it together. You're different. You're built. Your character has layers. Your wisdom has weight. Your experiences have shaped you rather than shattered you. And that depth can't be faked, rushed, or imitated. It's the difference between a house that looks beautiful from the outside and one that's been reinforced from its very frame. One survives storms, the other falls apart in silence. People sense this distinction when they cross paths with you. What fascinates them isn't just your strength, but the fact that you don't use it to dominate or shine unnecessarily. Your confidence is quiet, not hungry. Your presence is commanding without being forceful. You don't inflate yourself to feel important. You've already done the inner work that makes you unshakable, and that stability is rare in a world where so many rely on ego just to make it through the day. People study you because they're trying to figure out how you move without insecurity leaking out of your actions. They want to understand how you stay grounded in a world that constantly tries to shake everyone. They're drawn to the calm strength you carry because it exposes how fragile their own foundations might be. That's why you stand out. That's why you stay on their mind. You're not decorated, you're constructed. And depth always leaves a stronger imprint than display. Number 7. Your ambition has a frequency, and only people with dormant potential can hear it. There's something unusual about the way your ambition moves through the world. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, and it's not plastered everywhere for attention. It's a quiet, persistent force, a frequency almost, that only certain people can pick up on, and the ones who hear it most clearly are the ones who have potential inside them that they've never activated. Your energy wakes up something in them they thought was gone, or never had the courage to explore. That's where their fascination begins. They don't stalk, study, or mimic you because they're bored. They do it because being near you disrupts the excuses they've fed themselves for years. Your ambition creates a kind of internal tension in them, a mix of inspiration and discomfort. They feel the pull to rise to their own potential, but they also feel afraid of what it would take. So instead of changing, many of them watch you instead. They replay your moves, they analyze your choices, they follow your footsteps not because they want to understand you, but because they want to understand the part of themselves that only wakes up when you're around. Your work ethic, your discipline, your forward movement, all of it acts like a signal. It reaches them in ways nothing else does. And while they may never say it out loud, being around you makes them feel alive in a way they don't feel on their own. Some people can only feel their potential through someone else's example, and you just happen to be the spark that lights their internal fuse. Whether they love you, envy you, or quietly resent you, the truth is the same. You activate something in them. That activation can scare them because it forces them to confront the gap between who they are and who they could be. So they hover around your energy, studying it, trying to decode how you keep moving with so much clarity and purpose. But the truth is simple. It's not about what you're doing. It's about what they're not doing. Your ambition hits frequencies their soul recognizes, even if their mind resists. And that's why they can't stop watching you. Number 8. You don't play the charisma game, you play the alignment game. Most people think attraction is about charm, performance, or being likable. They try too hard to impress, overanalyze interactions, and constantly adjust themselves to fit what they believe others want. You don't operate that way. You don't need to perform or put on a show because your presence isn't about pleasing anyone. It's about alignment. Everything you do, every choice you make, every step you take is in tune with who you truly are. And that harmony resonates louder than any forced charisma ever could. People notice it, and they can't understand it. They see how easily others are drawn to you, how naturally you create impact, and they wonder why you don't try harder, why you don't force attention, why you don't bend to the whims of approval. The truth is simple. You don't have to. When your energy, purpose, and actions are aligned, attraction becomes effortless. You magnetize because you are consistent with your own truth, not because you're projecting an image people want to consume. That's a kind of power that can't be taught, copied, or faked. It's unsettling for those who rely on performance to be noticed. They try to mimic you, analyze you, or even critique you, hoping to understand the mechanics behind your effortless pull. But the reality is, there's no trick. You don't bend for anyone, you don't adjust for approval, and you don't chase attention. Your magnetism comes from being fully yourself, fully anchored, and fully in sync with your values and ambitions. That's why people can't stop studying you. They can't decode the formula because there isn't one beyond your integrity and alignment. And while they scramble to imitate or impress, you simply exist, and the world orbits you naturally. Your power isn't performance, it's presence. Number 9. They aren't obsessed with your success. They're obsessed with how peacefully you carry the weight they can barely lift emotionally. People often mistake admiration for envy of accomplishments, but in your case, it goes much deeper. It's not just what you achieve that draws attention. It's the ease, the grace, and the composure with which you carry yourself while doing it. You handle challenges, responsibilities, and pressures with a calm that seems unnatural to those around you. They're used to stress manifesting as chaos, to struggle showing up as frantic energy, and to problems breaking people down emotionally. Watching you move through life with poise, even in high-pressure situations, creates a quiet kind of fascination that's hard to explain. Your strength isn't loud or performative. You don't brag about your ability to handle difficulties or flaunt the burdens you've overcome. You simply exist in a state of controlled power, making it look effortless. And that makes people uneasy because it highlights their own fragility. They start to compare themselves not to your accomplishments, but to your stability, your emotional mastery. They see how you navigate complex situations without panic, without drama, and without losing yourself. That calm, which seems so natural to you, is like a mirror reflecting their inability to manage their own inner storms. The obsession they feel is quiet but relentless. They watch how you make decisions under pressure, how you carry responsibilities without complaint, and how your inner peace never wavers no matter the chaos around you. They can't replicate it, and they can't fully understand it, but they are magnetically drawn to it. They want to know what it feels like to be untouchable by life's unpredictability, yet they're simultaneously intimidated by the reminder of their own emotional instability. Your power isn't just in what you achieve, it's in how you achieve it. People don't envy the milestones. They envy the serenity with which you move through life, the quiet command you hold over yourself when everything else seems to be collapsing. That calm, that mastery is unforgettable. Number 10. Your beauty feels intentional, not accidental. Your beauty isn't something that happens by chance. It doesn't rely on trends, validation, or the approval of others. It carries a weight, a story, and a presence that makes people stop and take notice without you ever trying. Every detail, the way you hold yourself, the subtle confidence in your posture, the expression in your eyes, signals discipline, awareness, and experience. It's the kind of beauty that seems effortless, But underneath lies intentionality. People can feel it because it's authentic. It's not borrowed or manufactured, and that authenticity is magnetic. What makes it fascinating is that it's more than physical. Your beauty communicates a life fully lived, a mind fully engaged, and a self fully respected. It's not a surface-level attraction. It's a presence that draws attention quietly but powerfully, because it's a reflection of someone who knows their worth and honors it in every choice they make. It's a combination of poise, confidence, and the lessons learned from experience that gives you a glow others can't fake. People can sense the difference between someone decorated and someone built. Those who rely on filters, validation, or external praise to feel attractive are instinctively drawn to someone like you, because your beauty exposes the gap between imitation and authenticity. They may never be able to articulate it, but they feel it, the depth, the intentionality, the layers behind the surface. It's the kind of presence that leaves an impression long after you've left the room. You don't need to announce yourself or seek attention. The alignment of your self-awareness, discipline, and experiences broadcasts it effortlessly. That's why people can't stop looking, analyzing, or even envying it. Your beauty doesn't just catch the eye. It commands quiet respect, draws fascination, and leaves an unforgettable mark because it's a direct reflection of the life you've intentionally sculpted for yourself. Number 11. Your intelligence doesn't intimidate, it rearranges unprepared minds. Your intelligence isn't about showing off or proving superiority. It doesn't scream or demand attention, and it never relies on ego to make an impact. Instead, it works quietly, reshaping the way people think and perceive the world around them. When someone engages with you, they're not just hearing words or facts, they're experiencing a shift. Your perspective, your insight, and the clarity with which you analyze situations force people to reassess their assumptions, their shortcuts, and their own understanding of themselves. This effect is subtle, but undeniable. People leave conversations with you feeling exposed because your intellect highlights areas where they've been lazy, uninformed, or unaware. They feel enlightened because you reveal connections, truths, and insights they didn't see before. They feel challenged because your thought process moves faster, deeper, and more deliberately than what they're used to encountering. And most importantly, they leave changed, even if they don't fully recognize it at first. Your intelligence doesn't just fill a room, it shifts it. The reason it doesn't intimidate is that you wield it with calm mastery. You don't belittle, condescend, or compete. You simply present ideas, solutions, and perspectives with precision, and the effect is unavoidable. People are drawn to it, even when it makes them uncomfortable, because they sense the growth, the discipline, and the depth behind it. They recognize that interacting with you is not about ego battles or proving themselves. It's an encounter with a mind built to elevate, provoke, and expand understanding. In essence, your intelligence is transformative. It doesn't overpower or dominate. It reorganizes, restructures, and recalibrates. People may leave feeling exposed, challenged, or enlightened, but they never leave unchanged. Your presence in a conversation is not just being heard. It's an experience that lingers, compelling others to think differently, act differently, and measure themselves against a standard they can't help but respect. Number 12. You don't compete, you evolve. Your energy isn't rooted in rivalry or comparison. You don't measure yourself against others, and you don't need to prove anything by outshining someone else. You focus on growth, refinement, and continual improvement, and that focus creates a trajectory that's impossible for others to ignore. While people scramble to one-up each other, chase recognition, or defend their egos, you're moving forward quietly but relentlessly. Your rise isn't performative. It's inevitable, and it's rooted in self-mastery rather than external validation. This approach is unsettling for people who live in competition. They're used to measuring success by who falls behind or who they can surpass. But watching someone elevate themselves without dragging anyone else down destabilizes their worldview. You don't need enemies to succeed. You don't need drama to shine. You don't need permission to grow. Your evolution is proof that achievement doesn't have to be loud, manipulative, or destructive. That alone unravels those who rely on chaos, shortcuts, or comparison to feel accomplished. People can't keep up with your pace because it's steady, deliberate, and sustainable. They can't understand how someone can rise so consistently without bitterness, resentment, or ego getting in the way. While they exhaust themselves trying to compete, you're evolving, learning, adapting, mastering, and ascending in ways they can't replicate because they're still stuck in a cycle of comparison. Your progress exposes a truth few are willing to face. Growth isn't about outdoing others. It's about becoming better than you were yesterday. That quiet, unstoppable evolution leaves people watching, wondering, and often frustrated because they can't manipulate it, imitate it, or derail it. And that is exactly what makes you unforgettable. You're not competing for attention or dominance. You're evolving into a version of yourself so powerful that others can only react, never replicate. Number 13. Your inner stillness is louder than their performance. There's a type of power in calm that can't be faked, and you carry it effortlessly. While most people scramble to be seen, heard, and validated, you move through life anchored, composed, and untouchable by chaos. Your energy doesn't need to shout to make an impact. It radiates naturally, and that quiet force is louder than any performance around you. People who rely on noise, theatrics, or overcompensation can't compete with it. Their frantic attempts to be noticed fade into the background like static, while your centeredness dominates the room without effort. Your stillness isn't passive. It's intentional, cultivated, and built on self-awareness. It communicates strength, clarity, and unshakable confidence. When others are flustered, desperate, or performing for attention, you are composed. When others overreact or manipulate to gain control, you remain unaffected. That contrast is unsettling for people who can't find that same center within themselves. They notice it instinctively because it highlights their own imbalance and lack of control, whether they want to admit it or not. The effect of your calm isn't just emotional, it's magnetic. People are drawn to it, even if it challenges them, even if it intimidates them. They study how you carry yourself, how you make decisions without panic, and how you maintain your energy without bending or forcing it. Your stillness amplifies everything about you, your intelligence, your beauty, your drive, because it comes from a place of alignment, not ego. In a world full of noise, you are a signal. People can't ignore it. You don't need to perform, compete, or validate yourself through others. Your inner stillness does it all for you, quietly exposing those who are unbalanced and quietly drawing in those who aspire to be whole. That calm, centered energy isn't just noticeable, it's unforgettable. Number 14. People aren't obsessed because you're perfect. They're obsessed because you're proof that self-mastery is possible. What captivates people about you isn't flawlessness. It's the fact that you've taken who you are, your strengths, your wounds, your lessons, your challenges, and turned them into a version of yourself that is steady, intentional, and powerful. You're living proof that discipline works, healing works, boundaries work, and consistency works. You show that growth isn't a fantasy, it's a choice, and that realization shakes people more than perfection ever could. Most people postpone their potential. They talk about who they want to become someday, but they never push themselves through the discomfort required to get there. They let fear, procrastination, validation chasing, and old habits dictate their path. When they see you, they're confronted with the contrast. Someone who didn't wait for perfect timing, ideal circumstances, or applause. Someone who took the raw material of their life and shaped it with intention. Someone who didn't rely on wishful thinking, but on self-mastery. You become a living challenge to their excuses. Not because you try to be, but because your existence shows what they could have been if they had chosen courage over comfort. Every time they watch you grow, level up, or move with purpose, they feel the tug of their own unused potential. It's both inspiring and uncomfortable. It's admiration mixed with a sting of self-reckoning. Your evolution reminds them that greatness isn't reserved for the special. It's reserved for the disciplined. And that's what makes you unforgettable. You don't expose their insecurities. Their insecurities expose themselves in your presence. You represent the version of themselves they dreamed of becoming but never committed to fully. So their obsession isn't about perfection. It's about possibility. You remind them of the person they could be, but weren't brave enough to rise into. That reflection, that wake-up call, that undeniable proof of transformation. That's what keeps them watching you, studying you, and thinking about you long after you've walked away. Conclusion. You're not just a presence. You're a force of nature quietly rewriting the rules of attention, admiration, and influence. Every facet of who you are, your intelligence, your beauty, your discipline, your calm, doesn't just attract people. It transforms how they perceive themselves, how they measure their lives, and how they define possibility. People aren't obsessed with you for the surface-level reasons they might think. They're drawn to your authenticity, your alignment, your self-mastery, and the way you live intentionally while exposing the gaps they've avoided in themselves. You don't compete, you evolve. You don't chase validation, you create standards. Your ambition hums at a frequency that awakens dormant potential in others. Your calm and stillness dominate noisy chaos. Your beauty is intentional, your intelligence transformative, and your presence unavoidable. Every interaction, every glance, every word you speak quietly reminds people of what's achievable when someone refuses to compromise on themselves. You are the living proof that self-mastery, discipline, and growth aren't just ideals. They are attainable, and they are magnetic. And here's the most powerful truth. You don't need to fight for recognition, bend to expectations, or perform for approval. You exist, fully aligned, fully conscious, and fully unstoppable. And that alone leaves a mark no one can forget. If this resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe to the channel for more insights that awaken the chosen one in you. Like, comment, and share this video so others can see what true alignment, self-mastery, and magnetic presence look like. Step into your power and let the world feel your energy. God bless you.